What's happening, guys? So I am attending a lecture on celebrity suicides, okay? Took a bunch of notes. Just want to speak briefly on it. Let's get it.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there, guys. How's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means to help you feel better and perform better. Today I'm talking about celebrity suicides and what I learned part-time in a seminar that I'm a part of, a whole day seminar. A lot of this has to do with the support from family, which usually replaces therapy because there's so much stigma and not enough mental health awareness, right? People reach this state of suicide when they feel like the situation can't be tolerated anymore. There feels like there needs to be an escape route, right, for the person. And honestly, in my own perspective, I understand that it's more about the identity level change, because a lot of what we were talking about were actors, okay? Situations with actors, SSR, Sushant Singh Rajput, right? But it's not so much that people want to kill themselves, that they have no other option and they feel like nothing else can be tolerated. No other alternative, and it just seems like it is the best solution at the time in that frame of mind. It starts from negative thoughts about the self, negative thoughts about the world. It creates a helplessness, a hopelessness, a worthlessness, and an ambivalence. There's a lot of psychological pressure for the actor to perform, mainly about proving their excellence to the world, okay? They need to prove their human excellence all the time, 24/7. They constantly feel like they're under surveillance. And so this persona fatigue of needing to prove oneself to the audience that is watching them, they feel this intense burden or this intense pressure. Also, the acting industry is very competitive, right? I mean, a lot of celebrities, to get to where they're at now, they had to face a lot of rejection over and over and over and over again. There's still a strong stigma, especially in Indian culture, about mental health, mental illness, and there's a certain taboo against it. They feel like, we can do it ourselves. We don't need the help of a counselor or therapist or a practitioner. We can do it ourselves. And they hide in the background. Apparently men commit more suicide, women attempt more suicide. However, we start to wonder why it's the opposite case in Indian film and television. There's, of course, the copycat phenomenon where, young kids, they see these celebrity suicides happening, and how the media reports it is really important. If we sensationalize, glamorize, glorify, normalize the celebrity suicide, of course, people are going to be, it's basically like a cult. You know about the Jonestown incident, right? Where everyone just drank the Kool-Aid, right? Mentality of the Pied Piper, right? Everybody just following along with celebrity culture, not even questioning the inherent negativity that is inside all of us, because it aids in our survival. It's actually a gift of our evolution that we have negativity. However, to dwell in it, to get stuck in the old patterns, we have two choices. We can either regress or we can progress. The Withering Werther effect, which if you want to look it up, these are two of the studies that I was looking at in terms of this presentation. Mentioned Social Proof by Cialdini. What we need to do as people is build more public awareness. It's the responsibility of the media reporting these suicides that's also important. We need to promote positive mental health approaches and post-vention and prevention activities, okay? Post-vention is what do we do as a culture after suicide has taken place? Like, what is the measures that we need to do, right? Post-vention and prevention. We know how to prevent it, but what's the thing to do afterwards? Where's the aftercare for the people who have attempted it? And a lot of the cases, that go on hidden, or they don't write in notes or things like this, oftentimes those attempts are based on past mental health illness in the family, or past, for instance, Sushant Singh Rajput had a family history of bipolar disorder. And that does have a big impact on that as well. A lot of the times, celebrities don't get treated because of the stigma associated with it, right? So they keep hiding it from their families, hiding it from their friends, and just going about their life in this frame of mind. So it's most accurately, the predictor for it used to be depression. However, I think that for depression to actually say that, it's because of your depression that you're suicidal, is a bit of a leap, because there are instances where that's not the case as well. And of course, correlation doesn't equal causation, right? And we know that depression has multiple symptoms, multiple, varied things that it requires in order for it to be, labeled as a depressive disorder. What we can do is we can use less photos and videos when covering suicides, okay? This is also because the limbic brain, the reptilian brain, responds to images. And if we give lots of images and pictures and glorify this thing, it's getting into our subconscious minds, right? As a culture, that there are these people, and if there's an 8-page media coverage story about just a suicide, you understand that we're putting a lot of our time, energy, attention, and consciousness towards this phenomenon, right? Because a scientist could die from suicide, but it's the celebrity suicides of an actor that causes such a vast response, right, from cultures. Obviously, we need to provide covariates. We need to stop also sharing these oversimplified versions of what we think are the causes of this. We got to get more specific. And primarily, this kind of stuff sways on emotion, right? If people start posting about it on Twitter, or there's a specific suicide cluster of people, Papageno effect also affects this. Of course, there was a mention of the show 13 Reasons Why, which is a way that TV has popularized, or at least attempted to explain what goes on with suicidal ideation. Of course, there are many steps towards suicide, right? There's suicidal ideation, suicidal contemplation, suicidal planning, and then suicidal actual committing suicide, right? We got to understand the process and how it works if we really want to prevent it. Now, there are a lot of great awareness, activism and things like this out there, but a lot of the times the slacktivism isn't going to cut it. You know what I mean? Like just changing our profile picture to something, associated with a trendy, mental health woke aspect of the time isn't really going to do much. What we need to do is we need to start cultivating better mental resources, internal resources for people, so that they can get that sense of resilience rather than, having, if you have a family history of mental illness, that might make you more vulnerable to this. However, at the same time, there is post-traumatic growth. There is situations where people can completely reorient and change their lives if they, are in contact with such a phenomenon. Contagion suicide, which has more to do with demographics and the cultural, the geographical location. When gurus move to a place, the crime rates drop just like that. I think there's a phenomenon where if there's a suicide in a particular location, those people around that geographical location will more likely commit suicide as well. Now, is this chemo signaling? What is this? What is this phenomenon, right? You put a lot of people together, there starts to form like a hive mind or a thought collective, right? So see, we as humans, we're copycats, which is basically an emulation of another kind of suicide and the style that they did it in. For instance, they're giving an example of two movie couples who romantically, committed suicide. And also we have in culture like Romeo and Juliet, right? This very common narrative that allows people to step into that and understand that, right? Romanticizing, glamorizing, exaggerating, right? There are these cognitive distortions that start to appear. I can't do anything. I need approval from all my viewers, right? If we start getting into this generalization or these cognitive distortions like black and white thinking, that starts to slowly eat away at the accuracy of our thoughts, therefore making us more volatile, right, as a culture. Specifically for celebrities, I've worked with celebrities before, right? And a lot of them, I'm wondering about, the followers that they have, whether that has any correlation to the state of their mental health. I don't know if it's the bigger the number of followers, the bigger the impact, because there are more eyes watching that person, and therefore they feel like they've got to put on more of a curated idea or a self-image that starts to be constructed, right? Or whether, there's no correlation at all, and it just means that, there's more reach for the person. So this is something that I'm thinking of personally, man. And whenever I work with someone one-on-one, I really want to understand where is this baseline mindset, where's their mentality at? Are they in a fixed mindset and a victim mindset, or are they at least, do they have that hope and that possibility, right? When you get to suicide, you're hopeless. You feel hopeless, you feel helpless, you feel like pressing the eject button on this thing, right? You didn't come into the world with this video game character that you wanted to be, and life has kind of made you out to be this person who feels like they don't have any control. And no, I said feels like, right? So society can make us feel like we're trapped, feel like we're lonely, feel like we're sad, even if we, in actuality, we aren't. So our minds can start to, again, distort the reality, right, of what it truly is, and start to form a narrative around that.
This is a very interesting question, but what is your perspective on like these guys who call themselves incels, like involuntary celibates, who say that, yo, I can't get a woman because, you know, I'm ugly or whatever, and then they just give up on the whole dating like thing, spectrum.
Well, it's a terrible mindset, you know?
Right.
Creates their reality. That's
right.
all there
It is
is.
a terrible mindset, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have any worse options than anyone else, but you know, they believe they do, and so be it.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's very hard to help them because they have decided that that's the way it is, and nothing can change that.
Yeah.
Unless they decide to change it. You can't convince them.
Mm.
They're so invested in that that's the way it is.
That's true. It's what I've noticed also in a lot of like YouTube comments and stuff. I do notice that people are very, very heavily, I guess the word isn't stubborn, but they feel like they're there in that paradigm and they're stuck. It's like a genetic determinism. It's like, oh, I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, life is always changing and evolving and, you know, adapting, and it's this evolution. But for that mindset, it's like you're like cutting evolution. You're like saying, nope, I'm not gonna evolve, basically. So.
And then it doesn't matter what you do. You can do all the practices, but if you believe it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, I have worked with clients like that, and these days I'm very careful to not take them on because they're not going to have results.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It does come back to mindset. Like that's like the guiding sail almost that pulls you through this journey. That's what I experienced. I really valued the limiting beliefs work that we did because that really crumbled away some of my old paradigms and things like this. And
they give you all the reasons for why it's not possible. You know, that's what they're focusing on. They can talk for ages about why it doesn't work and what they don't want. But I'm like, but what do you want? And then they come back again to what they don't want. And this is, I mean, most of us have that predisposition. I think is the nature of the mind, is to focus on what we don't want. And to train ourselves to focus on what we do want, it's a big step for most of us.
Yeah.
So these are concepts, man, that I'm just thinking about. I'm here in the Calcutta University right now. Yeah, I'm going back for the part 2 of the lecture. Hope you guys enjoy this. Have an incredible day. I'm here somewhere secretive on campus. But yeah, man, have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today, Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again.